Welcome to the Director's Cut podcast, a part of StoryTown Radio Show. In this podcast, we will feature stories that didn't make the final cut for the live radio show, but they are excellent stories and need to be shared. This story was submitted for the June 2024 Salute to Veterans radio show. Laurie Herlich wrote this story, Love and the Taxicab Driver, about her parents. Her father was a veteran, and we thank him for his service. It is read by Laurie Herlich and Gregg Huddlestone.
It was 1953 in the Bronx, New York, and I was working my way through grad school in psychology by teaching people how to drive. There wasn't a huge market for driving in New York City. We had great mass transportation. Most people took the subway, the elevated train, or the bus. Rich people took taxis. I was making the most of a limited clientele by working at whatever hours people were available and going to school full time. I was tired and didn't really look at this new pupil at first. As you see here, on the floor of this car, you will find 3 pedals: the accelerator, the clutch, and the brake.
Hi, I'm Rocky. What's your name?
I finally looked at her and knew she was more than just another student. She had the figure of a fashion model and looked a little like the new Queen of England. Hey, I'm Milt. Wow, you sure don't look like a Rocky to me.
Well, my given name is Rochelle.
You don't look like a Rochelle either. Maybe a Shelley. Why are you interested in driving lessons?
I have just gotten my teaching credential. My father thinks I need to learn to drive in case I get a job outside of the city.
Well, let's get back to the lesson. On the floor of this car, you will find 3 pedals. Well, the lesson went so well, I decided to ask her out. I picked her up in my junky old car. We had dinner and went to a drive-in movie.
This is new. I've never been to a drive-in in the rain before.
That's great. I'm happy to think I'm a one-of-a-kind date.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm opening my umbrella.
Inside the car?
Well, as it happens, my car has a leak right over my pants leg. Sad to say, as much as I'd like this evening to last forever, if I don't take you home soon, we'll need an oar instead of an umbrella.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream.
Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Life was a dream as we dated the next 6 months. But then Uncle Sam required my services. I was drafted. I ended up in boot camp in California for basic training. I wrote to Shelley every day without fail, and wonder of wonders, she wrote back. Then Uncle Sam wanted to make use of all that training. Hi, Shelley. Boy, I really miss you. Hey, guess what? The United States is sending me on an all-expense-paid trip to Korea.
Oh, Milty, you're going overseas? That's even farther than California.
Hey, I've got a crazy idea. How'd you like to get married?
Well, how can that happen when you'll be in Korea and I'll be in New York?
I've got a little bit of leave before I ship out. Let's see, today is Tuesday, and I can leave tomorrow. I'll see you Friday.
I wonder what my father will say. You know, he calls you the taxicab driver.
At least your mother loves me. My brother and I drove nonstop for 3 days across the country. Shelley and I were engaged overnight and got married the next day.
Somehow, we had time to win a couples basketball tournament during that whirlwind trip.
We had a couple of days for a honeymoon. Then my brother and I drove back across the country. I was off to Korea, where Sergeant Richard K.M. Moku showed me the ropes. I thought they wanted my knowledge of psychology, but what they really wanted was my knowledge of basketball. Most of my time was spent organizing men into intramural basketball teams. They didn't want the fellows to have itchy trigger fingers, since the truce had just been signed. 6 months later, I was called into my sergeant's office. My wife was pregnant, and the doctor said she wasn't doing well. I guess we had time for more than basketball on that honeymoon after all. Sergeant Moku sent me back to New York with an honorable discharge. I was forever grateful to the Army for that leave before shipping out, and for sending me home in time for my healthy baby girl to be born.
Thank you for tuning in to the Director's Cut podcast, a part of StoryTown Radio Show. Check in next month for more stories. StoryTown is supported by the Tennessee Arts Commission, Trivia with Buds, the Silver Raven, Gary and Sandy Degner, Mountain Empire Cremation and Burial Services, and of course, the Wild Women of Jonesboro.